Hello, my name is Kevin and welcome to the Love Decanters channel. So this is part 2 of my 18th century top 10 favourites from my own collection. Now, yes, so this has been so hard to do. I've got so many favourites, so many, because as I said, they're all my preciouses. And some of these I've chosen because they mean something other than what they are to me. So yeah, sorry about that, but that's the way it goes. Yeah. So with that said, let's get on and I'll show you some glass. So this is my 6th item in my top 10. This is a Mon Teth glass or sweetmeat glass, depending on what you call it. The Mon Teth bit relates to I think Lord Mon Teth, and he had some sort of scalloped edged cloak or something with this pattern on, and you can see it's got like a little round bit and a pointy bit, and it's got all this flat cutting. Yeah, I see various dates for these. So this is sort of like probably 1760s or 70s or something like that. Yeah, but it's got little panels cut around the foot. I've got 5 of these. They're all different. I think this might be the oldest one. The reason this is my favourite is because it was a Christmas present from my wife, which, yeah, makes total sense, doesn't it? No, not really, but anyway, it is. It's my favourite because of that. It's the oldest one I've got, as in the one I've had the longest. So I've had this well over 20 years. It's got a funny little feature. It's got a rocker edge. I think it's not a rocker as such, but it doesn't. The wear, it doesn't sit right on the edge. Can you see the wear sits? Well, getting a bit of reflection there, but can you see the wear is there? Not quite to the edge. That's a really weird thing. And then it's got the little panels cut around it. So yeah, so this would have been for eating little crystallized sweets, fruits and things, or sugared nuts and stuff like that out of it. Putting it on your table. It's not for drinking out of because it's got a funny lip. Just something to look nice, really, and it's got the flat cutting that you see on a lot of most 18th century glass. If it's cut, it has this flat cutting because it was very difficult to cut deeply when you're using a foot treadle or some other. If you were really lucky, you had a water-powered wheel, but this is pre-steam, so yeah. So cutting was very difficult. Cut glass from then was very expensive, and yeah, so it's a favourite because it's a Christmas present from my wife. I do like Mon Teth glass. I like them a lot, and I was looking at the various things, and I was trying to say these are things that I like a lot. Which is the one that would be my favourite? I do like these a lot, and this is my favourite. All the others were complete bargains. This one, I don't know how much it cost. My wife bought it. So this is my 7th favourite, and yeah, so this is a classic collector's piece, glass collectors. If you were an old fogey collector, you would have to have a hexagonal jelly glass. So this is a mid 18th century piece of glass, hexagonal jelly glass. It's got what's known as a domed foot, so you can see the foot's pushed up like that, with a broken pontle mark. You can see the wear at the bottom of the foot as well there. And yeah, this has. Do you remember when I was showing you the double-walled salt, and I was saying, oh, the little blobby in the bottom is like, you see that on old glass? If you look into the bottom of there, it's very difficult to get it focus on it because it's looking at the glass. But there is, in the bottom of there, a little round blob. I don't know why some 18th century glasses have that, but they do. Like a little bead of glass in the bottom of the glass. Can you see it through the side? Just about, I think. yeah, it's a really weirdness thing. Yeah, I don't know why. If anybody can tell me why that little bead is there. But yeah, this is a classic collector's piece. And this is actually the most expensive jelly glass I own. Normally when I see one, I'm like there with my face pressed against the cabinet going, oh, look at that one, look at that one, oh. And this is where my wife came involved again, and she said, just take your wallet out and buy it because you've looked at so many of them. So I bought this one. So yeah, I did pay, I can't remember paying, I think I paid like £70 or something like that for it, which is, oh god, that's folding money. That's, you know, collecting is not just about taking your cash out of your pocket and splashing it about. It's about finding something you really want and trying to get it as a bargain as well, because you can buy anything almost. There's some things that are almost impossible to find, but if I wanted a hexagonal jelly glass, I could have had one years before. But you know, just by taking more light out and go, there you go, I've got one. But anyway, I did because my wife made me. So here is now item number 8. Okay, so this is a covered urn. I don't know what they were really for. I've seen different things saying they were for like jam and all sorts of things. I don't know, I'm not certain. But anyway, it's got a little cover. They're not like rummers in that they have more of a vertical edge here than rummers do normally. Some rummers do, but normally if it's got, and usually they have a cut edge like this. So this is from probably about 1790, I think. This would count as Anglo-Irish. Stars here are very Irish-like motif. They made a lot of these, so it was very, very fashionable. Look at the wear on the base of that sucker. Yeah, and this is an example of pressed glass. So the bottom of that is pressed, and then the sides have been polished out. As it's me, I haven't bothered to repair anything, so yeah, you can see the corners are covered in chips. Yeah, every corner's got a chip on it, and chips on the edge as well, the odd one. So I would expect that to see that from a piece that's over 200 years old, where it's got a sharp edge like that sits on the bottom where you're putting it down. There is also, don't lose it, I think there's a chip on here as well. Yeah, you can just about see it there, and that's to be expected from something that's been, you know, you've got to get it on exactly. So the lid has got little notches cut into it, and it's got this ribbing here, and then the finial is cut like that. So yeah, so this counts as, I think this is Anglo-Irish. I think it is. Might be Irish, might not be. And I've had this one, oh gosh, I'm trying to think now, nearly 30 years. Back in the day, I used to be a city gent, you could say. I worked in IT, but I worked for a bank and just north of London Bridge. And on Friday mornings, I used to go to work, well, not go to work, I used to go in really early in the morning, cross over and go to Portobello Market on early, like for 6:30 on Friday morning, scout around there for, because there was an antiques market. I'm not sure if it's still running. That was on very early in the morning. It was a strange market in that if you bought something there, you had a full title for it, regardless of where it came from. So if it was off the back of a lorry, it was still yours. Yeah, weird, ancient rule about Portobello Market. And anyway, I used to go there. I bought a few bits there, and I think this is one of my favourite pieces from there. I do have something else that I bought from there that might end up in the next video, so I need to think on that. But anyway, it's a really nice thing. I've had it a long time. I really loved it when I bought it. I thought it was a good thing when I didn't know what I was doing, and I still think it's a good thing. So yeah, I really like that. So we're at number 9. Okay, so I knew I had to have a 3-ring decanter because I love 3. It's where I started, what I started collecting. I wanted to pick an 18th century one. It was very hard to pick one out as a favourite. I picked this one. I call this one my cartwheel one whenever I talk about it, but it's actually, these are actually called vesica, but they're not very, they're very round vesica. It's like a, usually they're a bit more elliptical. You can see that it comes to a point there at the edge of each side in the cutting. What makes this an 18th century one? It's a bit more rounded shape. So this is, I'm not even sure what you'd call this shape. It's not even, it's not shouldered, because normally that would have a higher body. It's not Prussian because those normally curve in a bit. Yeah, it's like a little pudding that sits there. It's almost like a, but anyway, let me take the stop. I'm not sure the stopper's original. It's the one that came with it. It's really beat up. But yeah, it's got some nice little features on it, this one. So this cutting here, you see this style of cutting on a lot of 18th century decanters, which, you know, the tapered decanters have this cutting quite often, which are earlier still. Yeah, this cutting is lovely and flat, but it's a really unusual design. Yeah, got a little tiny polished particle in the bottom. Load of wear, just, can you see where it touches the table? Just there. Maybe at some point I should get this one cleaned because it's got a little bit of bloom in the bottom. It will probably just do quite quickly. The rings are funny, that looks like bladed. You can almost feel like facets on them where the tool was working on them. And then it's got very little narrow neck, little narrow pouring lick, and that's a sign of an earlier decanter usually. So it also, the rim is a bit wonky all the way around. I really like that. And here it goes in a bit, but obviously when they were tooling it, a little bit of glass stuck out, and there's a little blibby. You can't, so that's never been polished off or anything, because this little blibby catches your thumb. It's actually a little tiny piece sticking out of glass. Yeah, and it's got quite a small hole as well compared with a lot of the later ones. Yeah, some of the earlier ones, the ones that look earlier, have quite small necks and pouring holes. And yeah, and smaller pouring lips as well. So they're kind of like proportionally smaller to the top. So yeah, I really love this one. This was an eBay find. I think it was cheap as well, but yeah, probably, I think it was cheap because, oh look, chips, it's got chips. So I didn't care. It's a really lovely bottle. And eventually I might go down the shed with it and see if I can find it, because this has got a little bit of a rock in it. Yeah, and yeah, it just does. It doesn't sit quite where it should do. As in, it sits right for its height and everything. Sits about right place and everything, but where the wear in here doesn't match in here, so I don't think it. I think it's a marriage, but I love this decanter. It's got a fantastic shape, really unusual shape, lovely cutting. That's really unusual as well. This, which is from an earlier period, small lip, small top. So yeah, I really like that one. So this is the number 10, and this was very hard to pick because my original number 10, I realised it was made in 1800. Yeah. And then I had to go all through the stuff again and try to think about what else, if I had to save it, what would I get? And I chose this. It's a little tiny cruet. Yeah. And this is an Irish one. Little husks going round here. And this one, it came from Belfast, from eBay. In fact, you were looking at the little blibbies. I'll tell you about them being an 18th century feature. Got them here and here as well. So this is from the end of the 18th century, just like the decanter that we just last looked at. It's got a little chip on the bottom. So this came from Belfast, and it was being sold. Where did this go? They called it as a kitsch 1950s salt cellar. Yeah, so I got it for $2.99 plus postage, because I wasn't about to disabuse them of that. The top is fantastic because it just fits on with friction. You just press it on and it doesn't come off. Yeah, and it looks like it's made out of copper, which it kind of is, but this was silver plated originally. You can just about make out, there's a bit here in the grooves here, under here, not so much inside. So yeah, the fact that just pushes on and has stayed on there for over 200 years and stayed with it, you know, so perfectly made just to slide on and stay on with friction. Amazing. It's copper. The way they used to make silver plate was they would get copper, a copper sheet, and then they would put a really thin layer of silver leaf over the top of it and fuse it together with heat it up and put it through rollers, and it would bind them together, and then they would make it into something, and then use a bit of silver solder to fit all the little bits and pieces on it. But yeah, you can see a little tiny dent in the top. Yeah, so this is the kind of thing that you can find on eBay that's, in a way, rescued from obscurity, because yeah, it's they thought it was a piece of 1950s tat, but it wasn't. And yeah, this pattern here is a classic Irish pattern. You still see it today on the Waterford glass. They use it a lot. So yeah, they're still copying the patterns that were there from over 200 years ago, because it's a classic Irish style. And yeah, I really love it. I was so excited when it came, and it was what I thought it was. And yeah, and I've had this over 20 years anyway. But yeah, it was still $2.99. It's still $2.99 anybody's money at any time, unless you're going back a very long way. And it's got lemon. So yeah, this is, the base is pressed into a mold, like I was showing you with other pieces in my previous videos, and then they've put a plunger into the top of it to press it into the mold. That's in the shape of a lemon squeeze. Yeah, I do like that. I could go on picking things, but 10 is what I said, and 10 is what it's going to be. So, I hope you enjoyed that. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is that there is a difference between favourite and most valuable. Okay, so those are my favourites, but not necessarily my most valuable. In fact, I think, yeah, the bulk of them might not make my top 10 when it comes to value. Some of them, there's a couple of bits in there that were quite a bit more valuable, but yeah, yeah, most of them are not the most valuable that I've got. So those are different things. When you just love something for what it is, that's what this is about. And yeah, so now I have a lot of things swirling in my head for the 19th century, but now I have the anxiety of trying to cull them down to 10. So yes, it's a problem when you've got, yeah, this is not even the bulk of my collection. So yeah. Anyway, with that said, I didn't use any references, so that's not a problem. And please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. I will be doing another one. I don't know if I'll do it tomorrow. I'm going out tomorrow afternoon, so maybe not. I might not be up to it by then. And yeah, so remember to keep watching. There will be more videos, and yeah, like and subscribe. Good night.